Getting philosophical wouldn't do me any good, and yet, at the same time, I couldn't help but wonder what good accolades and accomplishments were. All the things I'd spent my life chasing, were they worth anything? I had no idea. Some people think while they walk, but as for me, I couldn't bear to think any longer. I shut down and put my focus on the moon above. Purples whisked, whites glowed, and for just a second, I freed my mind from slavery. All the same, fate wasn't content to let me go just yet. "This is not the end," it said. "There is no end." A sound trickled into my ears, and a feeling of darkness into my heart. What I'd heard had come from around the corner. On instinct, my body dropped into a ready stance, and a hand fell to my side, to the hilt of the concealed sword I had. I pulled the weapon without giving a sound and moved like a feather for a look around the corner. What I saw killed my hopes of a peaceful night. A man stood outside the light of the moon. He had a small sword in his possession and had backed a father, mother, and daughter into a wall. "I wouldn't be acting so smart-mouthed. You're just asking for a knife up your daughter's throat." Wrath took hold of me, stirred up and boiled my blood. Being light on your feet was a typical gift Eclipse had, so I slithered onwards, undetected. "All right," the father said. "That's my bad. I messed up. That's my bad." "I know you have Silverian on you. Come out with it." Silverian was the currency of Lathine. In turn, the father pulled a pouch and handed it to the mugger. As a thanks, the mugger shoved the father to the ground. "This is your idea of a ransom?" the mugger screeched. Wait, was I about to kill someone? Yes, I guess I was. I'd never done that before. I was on the verge of lopping off the mugger's head, and the best part was that I'd yet to tip him off about my presence. He'd quite literally never know what had hit him, or at least, that should have been the case. My heart sunk when the mother gave me a few little looks. She seemed to be trying not to, but couldn't help herself. "What?" the mugger cried, his voice staying low. "What are you?" The mugger barely deflected my swing in time, which led to him being blown off his feet. A hushed roar blasted from his lips as he sprang up. "4 people are going to die tonight." I smiled to show that he should have been afraid of me. I looked at the family and motioned away with my head. "Get out of here," I said. "I can handle myself." The mother grabbed her daughter, the father grabbed them too, and then they all fled away. "Thank you," they all said. "Thank you. Bless you." They faded into the dark, like they'd never existed in the first place, as if they'd merely been phantoms conjured by some dark puppet master. Fate demanded my soul. It was ready to take me. When I looked back, the mugger's eyes looked like that of a hungry wolf's. He certainly had some choice words. "I'll keep you alive," he said. "I'll keep you alive, all right, just long enough to shove your guts up your mouth." I shouldn't have laughed, but there was no helping it, as if I would die to some random street mugger. "Demented fool," I said after, a hint of insanity in my voice. He didn't take well to that. He charged straight at me. He threw a telegraphed blow that I had no issue deflecting. My elbow spun around, bashed into his jaw, and then the tip of my blade came around for a cut on his right leg. Blood flew like fireflies from hell. He let out one swear after another and staggered back. I pointed my blade out at him. Jail or death, I said. I've no problem with either. Once again, the mugger didn't take kindly to my words. He rushed forward, and after a lone deflection, I saw an opening. Rather than go for a stab, I opted for something less lethal and tacked on another cut. He fell to a knee, squeezed at the wound, and then crimson started to spew. I never pulled a sword on anyone, for real. Not before this, not ever. It disgusted me. Twisted my very soul to see the real purpose of swordplay, the thing I'd treasured most in life. I'll kill you! I'll kill you! He spit. I'll kill you! I'll kill you! He grabbed for something I couldn't get a good look at. It only made sense to be cautious. So I rushed in, lashed out, grabbed his hand, and snapped it backwards. A nasty crunch went in my ears and all the way down to my stomach. The man fell back, winced in pain, and tucked away his shattered hand while the dagger he'd reached for fell to the ground. I can't imagine there's many more options for you to exhaust, I said. Get up, let's take you in. His mouth started to shake with anger and pain, and his words came out between bloody, clenched teeth. I'll put you in a grave. Then try it. A moment of motionless went by. We both knew what he was going to do. He lusted for the dagger, so I took my foot and drove it into his wrist. An even more disgusting snap met my ears. After a yelp, he threw his momentum forward in an effort to knock me down, except my training was too good. I grabbed him by the throat and hurled him away. He continued to wince in pain and started to writhe on the ground. There should have been no reason to think this fight would go on any longer. I went forward and started to drag him away by the collar. He yanked away from my grasp and went on to the little sword of his that stood alone in the moonlight. Shaking my head, I walked after him. There was nothing he could do to me, so the real victim here was him. If he wanted more pain, then so be it. He brought his blade down, and again I deflected. 24 years worth of instinct kicked in. I lunged in for a counter. I'd always had a knack for powerful stabs. Blood spewed like a harsh winter storm when I pulled my blade from his gut. It went all over my face and all over my clothes. I went into shock, lost my footing, and crashed back. The man started to convulse erratically. His hands flailed around like fish out of water. He kept gasping over and over again for the next minute. He continued, spewing blood until he could spew no more, and then, at last, he was dead. A dark spirit of terror overwhelmed me, and before I could even think about processing what had happened, something faint echoed in the distance. The family must have sent knights my way. I took one look at the mugger's mutilated corpse, and then made a choice. I made my choice out of pure fear. I grabbed the body and dragged it away, scared to think what the knights might do to me if they saw what I'd done. From the shadows, I watched as two knights came up to the blood-stained scene. They were certainly in shock, but nowhere to the same extent as me. "Whoever did this," said one of the knights, kneeling next to a puddle of blood. "We have to kill him." "I needed the money he was paying us," growled the other knight, falling on his knees, looking angry to the point of tears. "Whoever did this will put them 10 feet under." And it was then that the words of a man who'd lost his naivety long ago came to me. "Commoners go hungry, while nobles rest in silk. Corruption is as rampant as it's ever been." My heart started to burn up at the thought. This horrible, horrible place. I was living my dream of being in Sohal, of winning a yearly, so why did I feel like I was in hell? Damn it all. I did something I should have never done, rely on myself, solely myself. Tears went down my face as I started to move through town with the body. As the body kept smelling worse and worse, so my tears of pain got worse and worse. I had to avoid 2 more knights on the way through town, who were no doubt headed to the scene of the crime. More likely than not, any knights out right now would try to kill me. What on Lathine had happened? How had a moonlit stroll turned into this? My vision started to roll again. Breathing was difficult. More than anything, I needed a moment to calm down. All the gore kept replaying over and over in my head, and finally, I fell to my knees to vomit. When at last my tears calmed, I took the body deep out of town, to a place where no moonlight could pass, and dug a great hole with my own 2 hands. At last, I had a hole big enough, and so I crammed the body in and desperately filled the hole back up. So much blood. I just couldn't wrap my head around the sight of so much blood. I fell to my side thereafter and couldn't move. What if someone found me out? What would happen to me? All I could do was lay there and fall prey to fear. I vomited a second time. My eyes were spinning. My soul was burning. And the darkest part of my heart said it would be better to just die than in there. From the bottom of my heart, I felt like my life was worthless, like I'd spent it all in vain. My dream of going to Sohal, of winning yearlies. Yes, how worthless. No matter your age, you're never too old to rely on those closest to you. I could have relied on the Eclipse no matter what, and should have. But I just ended up being so scared and confused. Spur of the moment impulse had gotten the best of me yet again. Now, I was one step closer to the void, to everything that would befall. Something changed in me that day. Something snapped. Something that could never be amended.